What's up, filmmakers? So today we were all waiting for Blackmagic to have this humongous announcement, and it was actually way larger than what we initially thought. So when they said they were going to announce something special, some camera updates today, we thought initially it was just going to be some firmware upgrades for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K or for the Ursa Mini 4.6K, and so on, maybe even some of these other cameras BRAW support. But instead, Blackmagic released a whole entire brand new camera. And here's a look at that camera here. So this right here is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K. Yes, you heard that right, 6K. So this camera is identical to the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, except it has a little bit larger front and it shoots 6K with an EF Canon mount. So initially, a lot of people were upset that the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K came out with a micro 4/3 mount as opposed to a Canon EF mount, because everybody loves their Canon glass, and me personally would be 10 times more excited for this new camera had I not sold all my Canon glass when I decided to upgrade to Sony mirrorless cameras and then move into the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K micro 4/3 lens system. So really, I don't own any EF glass anymore. So I'm a little bit bummed out about this new release. Now, this new camera is pretty much identical in terms of layout, button layout, and in terms of dimensions, minus that front little lens mount section there. So they both have ISO up to 25,600, 13 stops of dynamic range. You can use 3D LUTs on both of them. They both have the large 5-inch screen, the professional audio. They both support BRAW, except for you have the larger sensor on the EF version here. You have a 2310mm by 12.99mm sensor. And then you have your 6K resolution right there, which is 6,144 by 3,456 resolution, and they both, of course, come with your full version of DaVinci Resolve Studio. Of course, the micro 4/3 version comes in at $1,300, and the EF version comes in at $2,500, which is a huge bang for your buck, whichever way you're going. I mean, $2,500 for 6K resolution is outstanding. Now, if we go and we look at the different resolutions that the 6K version shoots, it will shoot 6K, it'll shoot 6K 4.1, it'll shoot 5.7K, 3.7K anamorphic, 2.8K at 17:9, 4K DCI, Ultra HD, and HD. And if you look at this chart here, here's all your max frame rates. So you can shoot 6K at 50 frames per second, 6K 4.1 at 60 frames per second, 5.7K up to 60 frames, 3.7K at 60 frames per second, 2.8K at 17:9 at 120 frames per second. And these are all in crop mode. You see them here on the sensor, everything from 6K 4.1 down to 2.8, 17:9, 120. Those are all cropped in. And then, of course, your 4K DCI ProRes is scaled from 5.7K into 60 frames per second, so on and so forth. Ultra HD scaled from 6K and also scaled from 5.7K and 50 and 60 frames per second, respectively. Now, what that means is that Ultra HD is going to be super crisp. It's sort of like this Sony mirrorless here is actually a 6K image wrapped into a 4K resolution in this camera, so that's why the 4K on this is super sharp. So one of the most amazing things about this announcement today is that the cameras are available immediately. This was something I was expecting when he announced it to be like, yes, the cameras are going to be ready at year's end or something like that, but he pulled one out from below the desk and actually had a physical camera in his hand and said, these are available today, they will start shipping today. and already people are going crazy on the pre-orders, same as they did with the 4K version. And this is going to add a lot to that pre-order depression delay train. So if you have a 4K, I would say just hang on to your 4K, enjoy it for the next 6 months to a year, then try to jump into the 6K when you can just buy it straight off the shelf, straight out of the store, without having to wait for these pre-orders. Let some people get this other cam in their hands, that way you can compare your 4K to the 6K footage you see coming out, and you know, really decide if it's the right buy for you, because you know, the 4K is still an amazing camera. It is a great bang for your buck. It's even a better buy than the 6K at $2,500 in my opinion. So when we think about drawbacks about the 6K camera, I don't really see many at all, because it is pretty much identical to the 4K camera. I mean, other than it taking those crappy LPE6 Canon batteries. So with a higher resolution and a bigger sensor, I imagine that it's going to burn through those batteries even quicker. Plus the camera may heat up a lot faster. So that's really my only concern with this camera. But other than that, like I said, I think it will be a great buy. Lastly, I just want to talk about how Blackmagic is just such an amazing company, because they did introduce a few firmware updates that'll be rolling out over the next couple months for the Pocket 4K, and that has to do with like anamorphic mode, and this is something that a lot of the users really voiced their opinion on, and Blackmagic listened and they answered, and they're putting anamorphic de-squeeze in the 4K. It's currently available in the 6K, but it is coming to the 4K. And you gotta love when a company listens to its users. And Blackmagic, period, is such a great company. When they come in and they release these high-end cameras at these low-end prices, and they disrupt the industry, something a lot of camera manufacturers aren't wanting to do. They're too busy chasing the dollar. And if you watch this launch event or this camera update event today, then you'll hear Grant Petty, the owner of Blackmagic, talk about how he really wants to offer so much at a little price, or even offer up like DaVinci Resolve Lite for free for creators, in hopes that they'll go create something, and he's only worried about his dollar on the back end, not on the front end. So it really seems like a great business model all around. He seems like a great and humble guy, and it really speaks volumes that he's able to get in there on his launch events and really mess around in his software and pick up his cameras and actually know what his cameras do and how to work his software. It says a lot about him and a lot about the company in my eyes. So with that said, are you guys planning on updating from the 4K to the 6K? Are you going to surpass saving up for the 4K to buy the 6K? Or what do you think about this in general? Let me know in the comments. With that said, guys, you know what to do. Hit any of the buttons below, especially hit the sub button, ding the bell so you can stay up to date on all the videos. And as always, guys, remember, just go shoot. I'll catch you on the next one.